If there is something you deeply want right now, the very act of wanting it is actively destroying your chances of actually getting it. Whenever you want something, the underlying signal you broadcast to your brain and your environment is the undeniable fact that you currently lack it. You are essentially confirming that the object of your desire is missing. If you look closely at this state of wanting or hoping that your circumstances will change, you will find doubt hiding underneath. Hoping is built on a weak belief system. Reality doesn't respond to weak belief systems. Because that hidden doubt creates internal resistance, the gap between you and your goal continues to perpetuate itself, regardless of your external effort. As long as you operate from a frequency of desire, you are stuck in a holding pattern of your own making, waiting for a shift that your own lack of conviction is preventing. The alternative to wanting is absolute decision. In Latin, the root of the word decision, decidere, means to remove all else. To decide is to eliminate every other option or alternative. Most of us wait to feel certain before we make a decision, but the mechanics of choice work the other way around. Certainty is a byproduct that follows the decision. You don't decide because you're ready. You decide, and then readiness follows. Consider an entrepreneur I know who, years ago, found himself crying on the phone to his wife during a business event, overwhelmed by fear and unable to even explain his own vision. Despite that terror, he chose to decide right then that he would succeed. That act of choosing triggers a physical shift in how your brain processes the world, specifically through a filter called the reticular activating system. Your brain is constantly bombarded by information, but it can't process all of it. In fact, neuroscience shows that we filter out roughly 88% of our experienced reality, only consciously processing a narrow 12% sliver of data. That small window of awareness is calibrated by your internal decisions. If you decide you are unworthy, your brain filters for evidence of failure. If you decide your success is inevitable, that same filter begins highlighting the opportunities you previously couldn't see. This aligns with Napoleon Hill's observation that the brain acts as a receiver, tuning into specific frequencies of information that already exist in our environment. By making a definitive decision, you change the criteria of your subconscious filter. As doubt is edged out, your perception is forced to align with the pathways and resources required to achieve your goal. This shift in perception mirrors a fundamental principle in quantum physics. Thomas Young's double-slit experiment demonstrated that reality itself alters based on how it is being observed. In the initial lab setup, researchers fired tiny particles through 2 slits toward a back wall, expecting the particles to behave like solid, predictable matter. Instead, the particles behaved like waves, creating a ripple interference pattern against the wall. They existed as a wave of infinite possibilities rather than distinct points in space. When a measuring device was placed to observe the particles as they passed through the slits, the wave pattern vanished. The particles instantly collapsed back into solid, measurable lines. This illustrates the observer effect. All things exist as an infinite wave of possibilities until an observer forces them into a singular physical state. Your absolute decision serves as the observer effect for your own life. It collapses the wave of maybe and someday into a singular concrete direction. Reality molds to the quality of your observation. If you observe through the frequency of doubt, you collapse the wave into lack. If you observe through certainty, you collapse it into your desired result. To change your reality, you must stop negotiating with your current circumstances. You have to move past begging for a different life and start commanding it. This concept of command is a recurring theme in spiritual traditions. In the New Testament, prayer is framed as an assumption of the outcome, instructing followers to believe they've already received what they ask for, even while they're still praying. Islamic and Eastern teachings offer a similar perspective on internal power. The Quran, shown here, describes the divine as being closer to a person than their own jugular vein, suggesting that the capacity to declare one's reality is an inherent internal right. Take that right now. Close your eyes, name the one thing you want most, and audibly declare, "I have decided." Now you must navigate the in-between phase. As reality begins to reorganize around your decision, your job is to remain loyal to that choice and refuse to return to the frequency of wanting. As William H. Murray famously wrote, The moment one definitely commits oneself, providence moves too, bringing a whole stream of events and unforeseen assistance which no man could have dreamt would come his way. The wave of reality is waiting for your observation. What will you decide today? If you're ready to stop hoping and start commanding, subscribe to the channel and share this with someone who needs to hear it.